This conference will now be recorded.
Perfect. Welcome, everyone. We're really excited for you to join us today to talk about our business and finance list from Palgrave Macmillan. We're going to start with a quick video that positions our strategy. All right. So hopefully that got livened you up a little bit. My name is Marit Bagstead. I'm the Trade Sales Director for Springer Nature in the Americas. And welcome to our last and final book talk of July. As you probably noticed in the video, our mission as a company at Springer Nature is advancing discovery. And we are really all about enabling researchers, educators, clinicians, and other professionals to have access to information they trust in the latest insights in their fields, and also to assist them in their own publishing. As a company, we believe that science and learning truly matter, and you're going to recognize brands like Scientific American, Springer Healthcare, Nature Research, and Biomed Central as key parts of our portfolio. Next slide, please. And as a company, Springer Nature in name is 5 years old, although the brands within our portfolio are much older. So in 2015, what was Springer Business and Media merged with portions of what was once Macmillan Science and Education, and this formed the Springer Nature Group. We published portfolios of books, journals, databases, and other services, and we're organized into 3 divisions that include research, professional, and education. Those of us on the call today are either in the book space, either as editors or in sales, and we also within the research division. And I wanted to make a quick mention of Macmillan because it can often cause a little bit of confusion regarding our relationship. So Macmillan Education, under that Macmillan Higher Education and the imprint Palgrave Macmillan are all a part of our company and under the Springer Nature umbrella. Other Macmillans, such as Macmillan Publishers or Macmillan Learning, are affiliates of ours, meaning that we share some common ownership under Wholesprint, but they actually operate as totally independent companies. Next slide, please. We have the largest academic catalog available, books catalog available. This means that we have something like 300,000 available ISBNs in our portfolio. We're publishing about 13,000 ISBNs every year. And that can be overwhelming. So I wanted to drill a little bit into our imprints to give you an idea of how that program breaks down. On the right, you'll see APress. This is our imprint that creates books for developers, IT professionals, and tech communities. It's very well known in these communities. Several weeks ago, we did our first book talk with APress editors. It is recorded, so if you're interested in APress, I encourage you to check that out. Red Globe Press is our HSS textbooks imprint. These are core adoptable books. They do have a study skills list that translates pretty nicely in the retail space that is worth calling out. And I also wanted to mention that this imprint at one time was also branded Palgrave, but we changed the name a couple of years ago to sort of alleviate that confusion. But the content has not changed. It's a migration from that program. On the top, Springer is our core STM portfolio, very well known in topics like medicine, biomedicine, engineering, mathematics, material science. Copernicus, the C in the middle, is our popular science division that sits within the Springer portfolio, and those are going to be titles that are a little bit more accessible. We had editors last week join us that focus on both food science and astronomy, also a very good session. So if you're looking for a good recording and a little more insight into Springer, please check that out. And last but not least, Palgrave Macmillan. Our editor is joining us today, focus on the business and finance list from Palgrave Macmillan. So you're going to get some great insights from them. Palgrave is all encompassing in the HSS space. So they're also very well known for politics, international relations, history, and literature, in addition to the topics we're talking about today. Next slide, please. And this can look like a lot of text, but the core thing we're really trying to get at through these book talks is to let you know that our crossover trade titles are accessible to a large audience and uniquely backed by the prestige of Springer Nature. And diversifying our reach and recognition, particularly for booksellers and public librarians, is a key part of our strategy as the trade sales team. So we believe our books are an unparalleled resource for students, researchers, and curious minds alike. And to give that a little more context, we have 550 expert editors that are based all around the globe that are responsible for our book portfolio. Our books are undergoing rigorous peer review, which ensures their quality, and they address topics that are both popular science subjects and also of global concern. So think things like the UN Sustainable Development Goals. Next slide, please. And then when you think about what's performing well on our list, it has a lot to do with what's happening in the world around us. And I don't think anyone would argue that 2020 has been an uneventful year. So it is no secret that things like race and social justice, economic turmoil, pandemics, and mental health are things that we've seen kind of rise to the top of our sales lists, our bestseller lists, shall I say. And then I think because our catalog is so big and because it is so broad and across all academic disciplines, what we can do as a team to help you is if you're looking for information on any topic, please use us as a resource because we more than likely have some information for you, your patrons, your customers, and would be very open to help you curate and find what you're looking for. And I believe that's it for me today.
Hi, everyone. This is Jenny Liu. I'm the Senior Trade Sales Manager for the Americas here at Springer Nature. And I just wanted to thank Marit so much for the thorough overview of Springer Nature, the brand. We have today with us Sarah Lord, our trade sales specialist, and Terry Yoshiuchi, our trade sales analyst from the trade sales team as well. So I'm sure that you've met or any of the members on our team here. Today, we are thrilled to partner with our editorial colleagues from the Palgrave Business and Finance team in the virtual event series. We truly hope to share the latest ideas and innovations from the business field and finance as well. And we're also happy to share the fantastic books on the list. So right before we jump in, I would love to get to know the attendees on the call. We want to know who you are, where you're from, but also any ideas that you want or subjects that you want to see in future book talks. So type away in the chat box and we will see you there. And now kicking off new ideas in business and finance with Palgrave is Tula for a peek at what's to come from the business list.
Great, thanks so much, Jenny. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Tula Weiss. I'm the executive editor of Finance, and I'm really excited to talk a little bit today about our business and finance list at Palgrave, because to me, it's probably the most exciting content coming out of Palgrave, though I guess I'm a little biased. So our business and finance lists really support the unique needs of both the professional and student audiences. So we identify, publish, and disseminate quality content. So Merritt kind of indicated already about our peer review process, but especially with these sorts of books that are a little bit more digestible, it's really not only about peer review, but also about kind of market testing. And it's to enable professionals and students who are looking to enter the fields of business and finance how they would work better or smarter, and to help policymakers as well. So not only is our content peer reviewed, so it's the highest quality, it offers unique perspectives based on the research that is backing it. And because we have so many editors throughout the globe, our authors are also equally global, and that provides us with really unique perspectives in the field. So we have a wide range of industries that are presented in our topics that we discuss on the lists, alongside geographies, and we have pretty expansive digital reach alongside print reach as well. So here are a few of the kind of top books that we've published within the list that we'll speak to some of these later on. Next slide, please. We also have a tremendous bandwidth of really excellent authors, but I'd like to highlight three here. So the first on the slide is Karen Mills. Karen is an exceptional author and proponent of businesses all across the globe. So she was a member of Barack Obama's cabinet and served as the administrator of the U.S. Small Business Administration until 2013. She currently serves as a fellow at Harvard Business School, and her book, FinTech, Small Business and the American Dream, has been probably one of our largest sellers within the last 2 years. Henry Arslanian is the PwC Global Crypto Leader and Asia FinTech Leader. He's been named by LinkedIn as one of the global top voices in economy and finance, and he has a very popular social media podcast series called FinTech Capsules and Crypto Capsules, and unsurprisingly, he writes content for us in the financial technology space, which is really exciting. And one of his titles, The Future of FinTech, I'll speak a little bit more about later. Dror Puleg is the co-chair of the Urban Land Institute's Technology and Innovation Council in New York. He's been featured in a whole host of media, including NBC, Forbes, The Times, The Wall Street Journal. He has clients all around the world, and he is the host of Rethinking, a popular podcast. He wrote a book for us called Rethinking Real Estate, which I will also touch on later. Next slide, please.
Okay, so the Family Business Series is one of our key series in the professional space. It is a series published in collaboration with the Family Business Consulting Group, a group of US-based consultants that advise enterprising families around the world. So these books truly have a global reach, and the authors are very experienced on these topics. The books offer practical advice to family business practitioners on such topics as HR, succession, and managing conflict, among others. So far, the series has over 40 titles, so this really makes us the market leader in this space. We have one forthcoming title in the series called Own It, which looks at how to develop ownership skills in every generation and at every age, and also teaches how to nurture an owner's mindset from the earliest years to retirement. Next slide, please. So these books regarding small businesses are a subset of our marketing titles, and they focus on how to keep customers online as well as in stores. It's particularly relevant in a post-pandemic world in which retailers need to convince customers that it is safe to visit stores and spend money. As we probably all know, consumer confidence has plummeted since the outbreak of the pandemic. So as we move into the fall and the numbers hopefully subside, these books could prove to be valuable in terms of making a comeback. The authors are merchandising experts with more than 20 years of experience, along with experts affiliated with the American Customer Satisfaction Index. Retail Isn't Dead is written by a merchandising expert who has worked with Macy's, among other companies. He is focused on brand experience and using technology and innovation to improve the customer shopping experience. An example that he provides in the book is regarding American Eagle, particularly the location in Union Square, just a few blocks from NYU. That particular location offers washers and dryers for free use by college students, and also has a lounge that serves as co-working space, as well as a section for customizing jeans. So it really advocates for a more interactive experience and use of new ways of getting customers into stores. Next slide, please.
So financial technology and innovation in general have been huge portions of what has made the list so successful within the last few years. Technology is obviously changing the way we work and we bank. Today's presentation wouldn't be possible without technology, and probably not something that we would have done several years back. So it makes sense that we should focus on this as it pertains to businesses and financial institutions as well. We're working alongside kind of the biggest names, as I mentioned on the previous slide, Karen Mills, Henry Arslanian, for instance, to really hone this research and make it applicable to businesses. So it's exploring how we exploit the opportunities of technology with pitfalls. And there are certain areas that are just of increased interest, like financial technology, regulation technology, AI, blockchain, especially as it pertains to cryptocurrencies or digital currencies. And some of the books that we've published have touched upon this. So for instance, The Future of Finance by Henry Arslanian really dives into how technology is changing the financial services industry as a whole and what we can expect from finance and banking in the future. FinTech Small Business and the American Dream by Karen Mills, for instance, really hones in on how financial technology will change the path for small businesses. And what she really draws on there is exploring how funding for small businesses is now even more possible and made much more easily than it had been in the past because of FinTech and technology in lending, which is really exciting. And I think everyone can agree that financial technology really, at least to me, is exciting because it does offer a path for innovation for businesses or organizations to allow people who weren't purchasing their products before access to them, alongside just access to banking for the millions of people around the world who are unbanked and trying to get a little bit more stability in terms of who has access to funds and money. Next slide, please.
So these books make up a pretty big chunk of the professional business titles that we publish. They are aimed at C-suite executives, and they focus on leadership and strategy in contemporary times. This is a very crowded space in the market, so we try to focus on works that offer something new and sometimes counterintuitive. These books are supplemented by cases that show principles, strategies, or approaches in action. For example, Taking the Reins as CIO looks at how the CIO role has been relegated to the responsibility for IT, but little involvement in the strategy side of the business. So this book was written for aspiring, recent, and current CIOs and offers tips on how to actively embrace the executive part of the role. It fits in the first 100 days genre of books, but goes beyond that transition period to discuss how to build credibility and influence business strategy among top management peers. So obviously this book is focused on a very specific market, but we also have a number of more general leadership books that are aimed at a wider audience of leaders and managers. Next slide, please.
From the finance side, we're also exploring wealth management and financial planning. So as technology has sort of changed the way that financial advisors work, financial planning has actually become much more prominent and popular because people are really looking forward to sitting down with someone and talking about a financial plan and a financial roadmap. So we explore kind of all aspects of the wealth management arc, including investments, retirement planning, which is ever important, estate planning, tax planning, risk management. And a lot of the books that we publish are not only just for advisors, but also for the people who they advise. And so one of our books, Personal Financial Planning for Executives and Entrepreneurs, is really geared towards anyone who's looking to put together a financial plan. And it's written from the Colony Group, a small investment advisory firm. Another one of our books in this space, Retirement on the Rocks, looks specifically at retirement and how that is changing in the coming future, how as pensions and other things, especially in the United States, are seeing a decline global across the country. And we have other books like Tailored Wealth Management and Wealth that really speak to wealth management specifically for the individual audience and kind of look at different strategies to ensure your wealth. Next slide, please. Additionally, and probably one of the biggest areas besides technology that's coming out of finance and business is really sustainability. How can we use money and businesses for the betterment of the world? And it explores sustainability kind of more broadly, but also as that it includes kind of diversity and inclusion in parallel with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. So these books tend to be very interdisciplinary in nature. So while they'll talk about finance or business more specifically, they also touch on the environment, sociology, psychology, things like that. So a few of the books that we're really excited about publishing recently or in the very near future, Values That Work is coming out of Yale. It's an edited book that really explores ESG investing. So for those of you who don't know what ESG is, it's environmental, social, and governance investing. So basically how we utilize our money to better society. A book that we recently published about modern China emphasizes closer relationships between the US and China for the sole purpose of sustainability, which is really interesting, especially in this current time. And Financing the Green New Deal is a very new release, which is written by one of the key architects of the Green New Deal, which is really exciting, and I'm sure will have legs, hopefully, in Congress. Next slide, please.
So our entrepreneurship books address common obstacles that entrepreneurs face in starting a business, scaling a business, and negotiating deals and how to overcome those obstacles. They are similar to our leadership books in that they offer new strategies and approaches. For example, Underdog Entrepreneurs focuses on entrepreneurs from marginalized and minority backgrounds, particularly those dealing with an outsider problem. So it offers advice on how to overcome stereotypes, how to cultivate mutually beneficial networks, and how to refine one's skills continually. Next slide, please. Oh, you're muted too. Sorry.
Sorry, thank you. We'd like to highlight some of our forthcoming titles as well. So from the finance list specifically, we have JP Morgan's Fall and Revival, which takes an insider look at JP Morgan through kind of the banking consolidation that happened in the 90s to the 2000s, including the financial crisis and how it basically persevered to become the bank that you know today. So with including interviews with key stakeholders at the bank alongside an insider's view, because the author was an employee of JP Morgan for many years. It is a really interesting kind of historical finance perspective of banking and the banking industry as we know it today. Chain Reaction, which is also forthcoming, ties in quite nicely with fintech and kind of the developing markets. So it looks at how blockchain technology will transform the developing markets and potentially help bank those who are unbanked, give access to finance to people who wouldn't have had it previously, and how that has changed or will be changing the economy for the better.
On the business side, we have organizational toxin handlers, which looks at the fact that a large part of the responsibility that HR handles are negative in nature and result in toxic workplace emotions. So examples would include staff reductions, restructuring, workplace disputes and disagreements. So this book looks at how HR can balance taking care of employees while also pushing the goals set by upper management. And readers will learn how to deal with toxic situations while protecting their own emotional health as well. The filling economy, I guess one thing that we're seeing more and more of is that machines are replacing humans in banking tasks. Robots and AI can make our jobs easier, but also lead to job losses. So this book embraces this shift from a thinking economy in which analytical skills have been valued to a feeling economy in which the ability to empathize will be the most important trait. It argues that since women on average are more empathetic than men, that this economy will favor women over men. It discusses politics, so it discusses why Trump won in 2016. It says that Trump was the more empathetic candidate, whereas Clinton didn't really embrace that part of politics. And it also discusses education. So how are we going to change the skills that are taught? This book also will appeal to anyone who's being affected by AI, which is everyone. So it appealed to a business audience, but it also is going to appeal to a more general audience as well. It's been written in a very accessible language, and the author has mentioned that he's written the book so that his 90-year-old mother can understand it. So yeah, that's a title that we are very excited about.
Okay, thank you so much, Tula and Marcus, for the excellent book talk in business and finance. It was excellent. I learned so much. Anyways, moving on to our social media platforms for Palgrave Business and Palgrave Finance. You can find them at Palgrave Biz and at Palgrave Finance on Twitter. And then to find Palgrave on Facebook or LinkedIn, follow at Palgrave McMillan. For the latest opinion pieces, podcasts, and book previews, and a much more interactive blog site, you can visit Palgrave's blog, Business and Finance Insights, or visit www.palgrave.com. And To coincide with the launch of our first book talk series, we also are launching our fall catalog. The catalog reflects Springer Nature's mission to advance discovery, so you'll find recently published frontlist books and also our best-selling backlist in this catalog. The trade catalog also includes our key publicity, marketing, and commercial-facing books. But the goal of the catalog is to curate and pare down from that list of 300,000 to all of our best, the best of our best. And so for our trade offerings, it's a first glimpse at growing trends and features our backlist highlights in any given subject from business all the way to popular science. And this catalog is available on Edelweiss along with our specialty and quarterly collections as well. Now, moving on to Edelweiss, as we know that this is the hub for all publishers in the US, we have created various catalogs that target the book market. You'll find our dedicated imprint catalogs, our subject bestsellers, our monthly and quarterly promotional print catalogs in here. And for bookstores, there is a section carved out just for you. The catalog we had just previewed on the previous slide, that will be available here along with our regional collections representing the West, Midwest, South, and Northeast in the US. And we recently launched a specialty collection for Black Lives Matter from Springer Nature. It's now available as well. This collection represents Black voices and issues raised by the movement, topics such as Black culture, race and history, Black identity, social inequality, and ethnicity can be found in this. And of course, you can reach out to your Springer Nature rep if you would like some guidance or just to point out the highlights in the catalog. So thank you so much to everyone for attending. I will stop the recording now and open up the talk for any questions that you might have.